Now, once my logo is imported in, I'm still in face mode because I deleted out these areas. I typically want to work in what's called object mode. Object mode is where I right click and literally say, right click hold, pulls up a menu, go to object mode, and now you notice when I select it, I select the whole thing. Okay. Z is undo. So if I move something, say, oops, I don't want that, I can just hit Z and it'll undo that. Now, over here is your attribute editor. If you don't see it, you could select an object and you hit Control A. I believe on the Apple it's Command A, but we could double check. And now I've got my attributes, and these are all the things that's going on with this mesh. So it's an SVG. We could see it right here. I could change its size. When it says right here for manipulation, each one of these paths are a section of it. Unfortunately, because it was set up a certain way, I didn't name all of them. Whereas if you go into Illustrator, where are you? In layers, here's the paths and the names. So since I didn't name them in here, it's not really named over there, but that's okay for what we're going to do. So in other words, if I just grab this unknown path and then reposition it Z, you could see it moves. That's what that one is right there. And I could just zero that back out to put it right back to where it was. For what we're doing, or for what I'm doing for this one, I don't need them all offset yet. I'm going to do that a different way. So this is pretty much looking the way I want it. There's just I want to have those little extras in the background, and I want to animate these flying around. So we have geometry. This is mesh settings. Sometimes if you're using curves and stuff, they look choppy, they aren't that smooth, and this is how you'd adjust the curve resolution to smooth that out. So if it's lower, you'll see things get really weird really fast, right? Putting it at 4, which is the default, usually is pretty clean. Sometimes you have to increase it a little bit, but because of the way this guy is built, we could see there's some weird oddities going on. So there's other ways of doing it. If you're having a problem, let me know. Okay. Now, one thing to consider is that if I wanted to do a lot more independently, in other words, if I wanted this part to be beveled and not have these sharp edges, but a beveled edge, but these not to, then I would actually copy and paste them in separately. Because right now it's considering, even though it's made of multiple sections, it's considering it all one thing. So when I have a tendency of putting something in there, it's going to try to apply it to everything all at once. And that may not be what I want to do. However, I do is where you would apply different materials to it. It already has different materials, and we can actually change that or adjust it. We'll talk about that later. And animation. So I do want to animate this. And if I click that, it turns on the ability to animate it, and it gives me some options of animating. And this is the translate is basically its position in space. Anytime you see 3 slots and you're trying like, what the heck is that? All you have to do is remember it's X, Y, Z. And if I look at this little corner down here, X, Y, Z, excuse me, X is the red, Y is up and down, Z is depth. So Z would be front, like coming at me or going away. Y would be going up and down, and X would be width left to right in the 3D coordinates. Okay. The arrows correlate with these guys, X, Z, Y, but over X, Y, Z. So I want, depending on how I want this to fly, I'd have to set keys telling it to be at certain places in my timeline, which is down here. And my timeline is how many frames I have, right? We set it originally for 24 frames a second, which means, as you do the math, you could start to kind of guesstimate of how long it's going to take for something to get from point A to point B. If I hit play and just sort of imagine it, and so I can always change it, but I can kind of see how long it's going to take. So my idea is that I want this to come from behind me and come forward, and then I want those lines that design in the back to come from the back and come towards me. So this is going to pass me from behind and go forward. The lines are going to come from the back and come towards me from the front. So with this selected, I'm going to add a few keyframes in how long this is going, and let's say I'm going to add it to about 200 frames. It's going to take 200 frames, and we'll just start there. So let's just say I put it at 200, but let's just say, and I'll probably have to increase this a lot, but at frame 120, this is where I want it to be at. So I set a key, and it keys everything. I could, if I hit Z, I could just key the translate by right-clicking on translate and setting key, and it's only setting a key not on the rotate or the scale, but just the translate. Either way is fine. And then when I go to frame 1, I'm going to go up here, X, Y, Z. Z is depth. Z is that blue right there. And I'm going to say, let's see if what happens if we put like 300. Oops. Well, 350, so it is. And then, so I go to the frame, I change the value, right click, set a key. Oh, that's nice. Hit play. And I think that's working, but I think it's moving a little slow, and I want to go faster. When I set keys, I typically see them down here, but because there's so many parts to this thing, it's not really showing it because I have it selected, not the parts controlling it, which is in the attribute editor SVG1. And that's where I just say select, and now we could see those keyframes. The first one, first position, which is at 350. This one is at 0. And you notice, even though I said, hey, you're going to key there, it's not all together, and that's because there's a delay. And we'll talk about that in a second. So it's delayed, and that's what's causing them to not all go at the same time, but it actually makes it a lot more interesting than them just coming as one big piece. I want them to be delayed, but let's take a look. Let's kind of adjust this. So I hit select, hold down shift, select this keyframe, and just left mouse click, and I'm going to move it closer. Now let's rewind and hit play. Now that's a lot faster. I like that. If I click on it again, that's how I get it back in my attribute editor. If I click away, it's gone. So this is going to show the attributes of whatever is selected. It's red because I'm on a keyframe. If I hit select, you could see that. If I go to here, it's red if I'm on a keyframe. If I'm in between, it's this pinkish color. So that's how you know you're definitely on a keyframe. If you want to be careful of being like right next to one, just use these guys. And then I can just hop onto the keyframe that I want. If I increase the delay, they're going to spread out even more. There we go. That's looking good.